is representation or identity politics enough to get her over the hump? Or, are people just going to be like, hey, I'm tired of dudes in women's bathrooms and people trying to fight for that? What is good? What is good? Ladies and gentlemen, I am Seven Blackman, your host of The Blackman Show, a place where we can dissect the news with a little bit of 7 cents. Hashtag, and your boy got goals. I am aiming to get to 2,500 subs, and I know I should be happy with the ones that I have so far, and believe me, I am. But I'm also dreaming bigger.
You need to be thinking big, bitch.
So please smash that like button like it's your last meal on death row. Dang. That's morbid. And share this info with your peeps. But without further ado, let us continue. So first and foremost, I have to apologize for having no show last week. I was doing all this prep to talk to y'all about the evils of Project 2025. And I don't know, I just kept writing and writing and going in it. I didn't feel like I was going in the direction that I wanted to go. You know what I'm saying? I just felt like I was... You sometimes you just feel like you're just writing stuff and you're not even saying anything of importance. That's kind of how I felt. And so I was just rambling, you know what I'm saying? And while I love a good ramble, just like the next guy.
And those people, and there was one guy, I gotta beat him. He was dressed in black, he had sort of a green floppy hat on. Not only didn't he run, and there were others that did this too, he stood up. Bullets are going, you're just looking. Did you see it? Does everyone, I mean, you've seen this clip hundreds of times. People call up, they see it hundreds, but look at that guy.
I also like getting to the point. So instead of just wasting your time for likes, I figured it best to hold back until I had something cogent to say. And now I think I have it. So today we'll start off with the original plan and I'll run it down for you, the high points of the Heritage Foundation's Project 2025. Now in Espanol. Please keep in mind that, these are the same racists. I'm sorry. I mean Jesus-loving individuals who more than likely would not want to actually be in contact with a swarthy-skinned savior selling salvation so souls can silently sail somewhere sand snakes, strife and strain to that sweet by and by. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You too. But yeah, these are the same Christians who also created the Mandate for Leadership plan for one Ronald Wilson Reagan.
Ronald Reagan was the devil.
That was responsible for things like the Strategic Defense Initiative, the Reagan Doctrine, where we were codified assholes to communists and their supporters, and Reaganomics, which led to reductions in the Department of Housing and Urban Development, expansion of the wealth gap between black people and our Caucasian counters, and the infamous and overall incorrectly stated term, welfare queen. And mind you, this man was successful at implementing 60% of the plan by the end of the first year. End of the first year. I digress. So this same DC-based think tank full of nation first, black people never individuals has their eyes set on the upcoming administration. That's how we get to Project 2025, which is their, and by all rights, the Republican Party's plan of what to do and how to recreate America into an image where special treatments and interests for non-government alphabet committees like the LGBs and the DEIs will be no more, where they aim to swear fealty to Israel while keeping Iraq and developing nations like Southern Africa subservient. But at least they wrote it down. I guess that's something I can at least give them extra credit for. I mean, because as far as evil villain monologues go, this one, magnifique, or however you're supposed to say it. All right, so here's what this new mandate for leadership wants to do in the first 180 days of a Republican administration. Keep Mexicans in Mexico. Make E-Verify mandatory. Push government funds into the privatization and state control of the Department of Transportation, meaning that would be no more. So at some places you could have a wonderful bridge, and at others you could not. Ending all clean and renewable energy initiatives and their funding. repeal the Affordable Care Act, ending small business administration loans that are made directly to businesses and instead creating a block loan where everyone will have to fight to the death against other business owners with their varied weapons, adaptation skills, and cunning just to get some funding for your nail salon. Help high-income individuals and businesses by simplifying the tax code, reducing corporate taxes, and eliminating estate taxes. And if you're not rich, sucks to be you. More later. In the Department of Education, pushing those responsibilities down to the states and giving individuals pay vouchers for the kids to fight over private schools that you know will cost more than what the government is going to give you. At the same time, they'll make your kids that are going to public school have to take the ASVAB, which is a military proficiency and placement exam that'll keep you from any government funds if you ever want to go to college. So if we go to war, we know that young Emery, who's proficient in math, is equipped for combat. Thank you, Emery, for your future service. Now, at the same time, those government funds are also in a block grant that you'll also have to fight over because those funds are handled by the same office that'll disperse all federal loans, meaning that your fight for the nail salon money just got a sequel. Congratulations. Nail salon owners versus farmers, part 2. So ultimately, this, by the way, keeps your options very limited for everything, especially if you go to public school. And let's be honest, the funding that they're proposing to give to everybody may be the same, but there's nothing to say that the universities in your state are any good. And if they are, they become choosers and will only choose the best of the best. It's kind of like what Kevin Samuels was saying, and I know anytime I mention Kevin Samuels, people get upset, but it's kind of like what Kevin Samuels was saying and what a lot of guys have said when it comes to women who are dating and looking for the best man option, right? As you're looking for the best man and all women are flocking to be the one chosen by this one man, now he has a plethora of options. A plethora of options from which he can be maybe good, likely not. But he's gonna pick the one or ones that he decides that he wants to stay with, right? People can understand this when it comes to schools. I hope y'all are starting to get the picture when it comes to relationships. I digress. And overall, they just want to keep you stupid. That's if you can't afford it. They don't want to look like a bad teacher, and old Uncle Sam no longer can if it ain't in the job description. Now, some of the other changes include rolling back regulations on fossil fuel production, pulling back regulations on the tech industry, which could jeopardize your personal data even more, unless you can afford it. Appoint more conservative state and federal judges, which means more law people putting more restrictions on women's rights at the state level. And you know which rights I'm talking about. Further restricting voter rights. By the way, did you know that most felons can vote? Please pause to read, or you can go to the website at the bottom of the screen. And no, I'm not sponsored. I just like sharing good information. On top of that, they may further restrict the civil liberties of people who look like us or various shades of wheat that don't include the top row. And another change apparently is not to talk about Trump's so-called ear shooting or its miraculous healing. I mean, it's not like they're doing it now anyway. Right. Okay, so those are the facts of the 920-something page document that Trump is trying his hardest to distance himself from, while also pushing his own plan called Agenda 47, which by many respects is just a Cliff Notes version of this original. But either way, they have something written. And for a VP, the Republican Party has nominated the basement couch fucker, look it up, with a military background who thinks women without children are sociopaths, J.D. Vance. And, by the way, I'll see your sociopaths and raise you a couple BMs. Bowel movements, of course. But yeah, they have nominated this man who makes Eminem's beard look serviceable as their VP. And their presidential pick did himself no favors at his recent visit to the National Association of Black Journalists, where the ladies did their best to hold him to task. However, I personally don't think they hit him as hard as they could. But if this man had any thought that he was going to be winning votes by this visit with these people, I mean, dude, you'd be better off investing in Blockbuster Video today. real quick, come in close. Do you realize every time he has a problem with a woman, which is often, he has a tendency to call the woman nasty?
Why should black voters trust you after you have used language like that?
Well, first of all, I don't think I've ever been asked a question so in such a horrible manner. First question. You don't even say, hello, how are you? I think it's a very rude introduction. I don't know exactly why you would do something like that. And let me go a step further. I think it's a very nasty question. I have answered the question. I have been the best president for the black population.
What are the odds that either during or after the upcoming debate with the Democratic nominee Kamala Harris, that these words will come from this man's face? I am definitely betting the over. Now, so we've got that side, but what about the opposition? So what do the Democrats have on their side, right? Of course, they're now all singing Kumbaya, all behind the former California Attorney General and Senator, as they apparently are keeping her from interviews in preparation to keep her from saying shit like this. Now, on top of that, recently she selected Minnesota's Governor Tim Walz as her VP to face off against, and I can't believe I'm quoting Machine Gun Kelly of all people, Weird Beard from Denver in a VP battle. Now, a little bit of information on Walz includes that he was the governor and still is the governor of Minnesota, but he was there during the George Floyd murder, the protests, and some of the partial resolutions, which helped to draw the ire of people on both sides who kind of figured that eventually, at some point, dude was gonna call in a visit from the National Guard. During all the chaos, especially when still to this day, nobody knows who had the pallets of bricks that were delivered in the midst of those peaceful protests. Just sitting on the corner, and in case folks is feeling frisky. Now, other information about Tim is that he has a questionable military background, which may rub some veterans the wrong way, depending on how heavily you identify with the military, over however else you may identify yourself. Identity politics. I mean, in a time when identity politics means voting for somebody who looks like you or with whom you identify more than voting for the policies that they represent or the actions they've actually made to this point, Tim is just white, military, and not gay, but gay-friendly enough to win over the white men of the Midwest who may find Kamala a bit too spicy for their delicately soft palates, and friends of the LGBTQ community, as Minnesota's biggest city has been very friendly to the children. Similarly, Kamala's bag, I guess, is black people, Asians, and women. Okay, so if many of the people within those spaces are thinking of or already set on voting for Kamala, what, as a nation, are we going to get? Now, since January of 2021, the Democrats have been at the governmental and administrative helm of these United States. During their tenure, upwards of 16 million immigrants have been allowed asylum. Not exactly the 20 to 30 million that we've heard about from mainstream media, but still quite a few. Some of whom have been fast-tracked into citizenship and granted better accommodations in some of our biggest cities than its military veterans and homeless. This is what we're seeing on the Democrat side. I mean, outside of proxy wars, we're fighting on two fronts. We've also directed the Census Bureau to essentially count non-citizens in order to boost representation numbers in their favor. But hell, I honestly think just about anybody in power would do that. Right? Just tilt the playing field in their favor. I mean, it's not like the GOP hasn't been fast at trying to gerrymander states to the point where certain voters have less power. I'm sorry, what? They have? Recently? Oh, wow. Now, bringing it back, I know some of y'all are excited about what Kamala represents. It's historic, no doubt. Being the first female, black, and South Asian vice president is a milestone that resonates with many, and it will go even further if she becomes president. However, while everybody's pumped up about her potential, the real question is, what will she actually do if she wins? Let's be honest, her performance as VP hasn't exactly been a highlight reel. I mean, during her time in office, she's faced significant challenges and mixed reviews. She was tasked with tackling some of the most complex issues like immigration and voting rights, and these have been far from easy wins. True. I mean, her efforts at the U.S.-Mexican border was basically for addressing root causes of migration, and that's been met with criticism from both sides of the political spectrum. Many people feeling like progress has been slow and solutions have been elusive for your girl. And her handling of voting rights has also faced scrutiny, with legislation stalling in Congress, despite her vocal support. And critics argue that the administration's efforts haven't been aggressive enough to counter the rollback of voting rights in several states. So we've got a bad job done on voters' rights, a border that's been overrun because her single speech didn't seem like much of a deterrent.
Do not come. Do not come.
I'm gonna come.
And all this was done under hers and Biden's watch. And that, now, don't get me wrong, there are lots of things that they have done well, but these items were her job specifically, right? Now, it is worth noting that she's also been a visible advocate for women's rights, especially in light of recent Supreme Court decisions affecting reproductive rights. Her speeches and actions have helped galvanize support and bring attention to these critical issues. Now, she's had some speeches and done some actions that have brought attention to some of these issues, but I think we got to ask ourselves, is advocacy at such a high level, is that enough when you need decided action? I mean, because ultimately her presidency or her vice presidency is going to, that's going to set or shape the stage for whatever her political run as president is going to be, right? I mean, she's had some milestones and some changes along the way, but I'm just wondering, like, is representation or identity politics enough to get her over the hump, or are people just gonna be like, hey, I'm tired of dudes in women's bathrooms and people trying to fight for that? I mean, because that's what it'll come down to. I'm tired of us fighting wars in other places while saying that we ain't fighting them. Like that's some of the stuff that people are going to be talking about and aiming for, I would think. But then on the other hand, you got people who are saying it don't even matter what she stands for. I'm voting for Kamala or Kamala because she black, or I'm voting for her because she's a woman, or I'm voting for her because she's not Trump. You know what I'm saying? Like, so there's that, and that's cool. Personally, I think that's kind of by design. I think they do this whole thing by design. They set us up with no-win situations where it's like either way you pick, you're gonna get hit some kind of way. Now, you add to that the fact that she has an alphabet-friendly white man on her side that's not her husband. Take that, Montel. And she may have a chance, especially when contrasted against somebody like Drumpf. While her resume offers a wealth of firsts and advocacy, I would ask if firsts are what are necessary to get the job done. Like, we can sit forever and talk about, oh, this person is the first blah, blah, blah. This person was the first blah, blah, blah. They would have. Okay, cool. How effective were they? Because I'm getting tired of the show ponies, and I just want shit to get done. Are any of y'all out there that feel that way too? Just do the damn job. I don't care about the fanfare. I really didn't like the fact that you were out there and had Meg Thee Stallion shaking her ass. Like, what is this? Is this what this is? Because what was it? Dr. Umar? Was it Umar? Somebody who said something along the lines like, I can't wait to see all the black people shaking their ass and all that stuff for Kamala. And it was like weeks, if not days later, there was a whole rally, and here's Meg Thee Stallion shaking her ass in front of all. And it's stuff like that that just makes me not take, that makes me look at Kamala with a side eye. It looks, and not even just Kamala, because it could be anybody. It makes me look at the Democratic Party with a side eye. Because on one side, you could say, all right, well, it's messed up that the Democrats are getting to such an extent, or at such a point where the Democrats at this point are looking like the rational ones, right? You've got a Midwestern guy who's the VP. You've got a woman whose parents were immigrants who came to the United States and bootstraps and all that stuff, whatever you want to say, coming up. And the Democrats are looking like the conservatives in all of this, when they are not. They are not. They are not. with a lot of the things that they're doing. But that's what I'm saying. They're looking like the rational choice. So I won't even say the rational party. They're looking like the rational choice in all of this, when a lot of what they're doing is also heinous and silly. They just know how to wrap it and package it well to make the shit that they rolling up look like 24 karat gold. And then we've got a Republican Party that are looking like the extreme. Like, Trump was already sounding crazy, and then you've got JD Vance with him. That dude is insane with some of the stuff that he said. So these are the part. This is what we have right now, and I honestly wonder of the Republicans, because I mean, if you were to look at the Republican Party, you can really break it down into three separate groups. You've got conservatives, Christian nationals, and then the extremists who don't give no hell about nothing as long as we win. So, like the conservatives, that's where you'll find like black people, Indians. You'll find like everybody in that group, because those are the ones who actually feel like there are certain things we should do, shouldn't do, small government, whatever the heck, women's rights, keep it to the states, whatever. That's those people. Then the Christian nationals are the ones who are like, well, that's the Heritage Foundation. That's their information that they're providing, that are setting the path for America, where if you ain't got no money, that's your ass, basically. And then you've got the extremists who are like, we win, if we don't win, riot. And so I wonder if the Republican Party has the ability within themselves to say,
you know what? Let's go ahead and sit this one out. Let's let this guy lose right off into the sunset because we have to save the party.
Like, I actually wonder if there are any thoughts within them to do something like that, to stop and think and say, let's not do this. Let's not go any further, because we want to make sure that we have a party at the end of this. Because I promise you, if Trump wins, I think that's the end of the Republican Party as we know it. Because there's no way somebody like a Mitt Romney would come back out of the new Republican Party after a second term with Trump. There's no way. Like, they continue down that road of entropy, I think. And honestly, I can't lie. I think that they put Kamala up against Trump because, well, I mean, one, Joe is obviously declining, but at the same time, I think they're expecting her to stand there and they just want to let Trump, like, if he are just basing off how he already performed at the National Association for Black Journalists, bruh, they're just waiting for him to explode on public display for everybody to see, so they can know outright how he actually feels about people who don't look like or think like him. So I think this is going to be an exercise in restraint for the GOP candidate. And at the same time, all Kamala is going to have to do is just be there. But anyway, those are my thoughts. I had to go off on a little tangent real quick, but I'm eager to know what you guys think about that and just kind of what this is all going to look like. Getting back to it. While her resume has a wealth of firsts and advocacies, what are firsts going to do about enacting meaningful change? What do the Democrats have planned for the first 180 days? If it includes more of the same, more immigrants, less pay, less health care, less discretionary income, more wars, more indecision, more stalling, more of this.
I think it's very important, as you have heard from so many incredible leaders, for us at every moment in time, and certainly this one, to see the moment in time in which we exist and are present, and to be able to contextualize it, to understand where we exist in the history and in the moment as it relates not only to the past but the future.
And less of this.
We are a nation that just recently heard that Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat.
Does it really take us anywhere different? I mean, we know what the evil empire is all about. What about the evil good guys? We know what everyone has us voting against. That is understood. But what are we actually voting for? Don't tell me policy, especially when there are so many floating around it, don't even see the light of day. Tell me exactly what you're going to do, how you are going to do it, and why you think the people are going to benefit from it. We get so caught up in trying to align ourselves with the winning side, and personally, while I stand on my stance of her not being the choice, it appears these are the options. Potential stage fright, maybe that's what it is, versus mentally declining asshole. That is, unless you want to vote third party. And who doesn't want to listen to a bear eater who dumps random bodies in Central Park as president? And that brings it to y'all. I'm still weighing what I'm going to do in this upcoming election. While there are a few things that I can say I'm okay with in Project 2025, I can guarantee you there is nothing in there that I'm going to vote for. Nothing. With a less than 2-year-old right now, what kind of future am I setting up for him? I mean, do I start him now, learning how to make fire, shelter, and how to fashion his own bows? Or will they do that in the quarter quail before he arrives? Let me know in the comments, who are you looking to vote for? I mean, as long as y'all don't vote for that Project 2025, Agenda 47, or whatever other code name they think they want to give to it, I think he'll be fine. Now, if you did what you heard today and want to keep these conversations going, hit that like button and share this video with your peeps. And of course, subscribe to the Blackman Show. Let's grow this community together and smash that 2,500 subs goal. And if you want to support the show, check out theblackmanshow.com for some of our latest gear. This has been The Blackman Show. I'm your boy 7. Hit me up in the comments, man. Until next time, peace. And I'm out.